All right, YouTube, I'm back. It's your boy T310J, and I had made a video about 15-20 minutes ago that I had actually posted. It's live now. I'm watching it. About basically forget a 9 to 5. It was my 9 to 5 video. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. And remember to like, subscribe, comment, put on the notification bell to my channel. I will be posting more often. I got a little time today. I'm off until I gotta go in graveyards at 9:30. So brother like to get his rest though. I'll probably take a nap from 5:30 to 8. So you know how that goes. So back on it. Got a double shift. Gotta work graveyards into days, 8 hours each. So I got a 16-hour shift. Actually, for 2 days in a row. So um, that'll be a later video. I'll explain what I do for work and everything. And oftentimes I will be making videos and posting from my job as there's a little bit of downtime, but I will be working. This video today is gonna be second video for today, actually. I'm gonna be talking about gig work. If you guys aren't familiar with gig work, at least the youngsters, well, most people by now, they understand what gig work is, but for the youngsters or for older folks, just for anybody that don't know what gig work is a part of the gig economy. Gig, G-I-G, like a gig, right? Local gig. Gig work is basically, it's flexible work, flex work, contract work. You sign up via an app such as Uber, Grubhub. You got Walmart Spark. You got TaskRabbit. You got Instacart. You got Amazon Flex. Those are like the main major ones, right? And basically, gig work is you get paid doing different gigs on an app, and typically they'll have you create an account, enter your email and a password once you download this application. And once you download this application, you sign up in a geographical area, such as like myself, for example, I'm in Los Angeles, California. So, basically all of Los Angeles, but depending on the app, for example, let's just say Uber. Uber's like the easiest and most well-known one, right? And then I'll start driving for them, start picking up passengers, and I'll get paid per trip, right? So is there money to be made in gig work? Yes. However, in my opinion, I feel like it's a transitional job, part-time job, or what they would call flexible type of job, right? Basically a hustle. That's what it, in my opinion, I think gig work is meant for you to hustle. If you are doing it full time, more, I salute you, more power to you. I don't know how in the hell you making ends meet, but for, and I say that not jokingly, I say that respectfully, because my personal experience, like doing Uber, there is money to be made in those different gig apps, right? But in my opinion, for one to be doing it full time and to solely depend on gig work and apps full time, I don't know how y'all eating, man. A lot of them jobs, a lot of that gig work and those applications, man. First of all, you gotta have a lot of hustle in you. It's tiring work. In my opinion, it's almost like you're slaving for a wage. They You got to understand from a business or a corporation's point of view, right? I'm gonna put y'all up on game. This is business 101, not only business 101, this is economics 101. Oftentimes you hear in the media, in the news, that record profit from companies like Uber or Instacart, companies, corporations like this, right? They profit a whole bunch while the drivers and their employees get the bare minimum. They don't get shit. Put your shoes in the business shoes. Wouldn't you, as a business, want to make the most and pay your employees less? From a business point of view, if you're a hustler like me or anybody else that live in a high cost of living state, or if you about your money, let's talk business, right? Let's talk commerce. Let's talk the power of a dollar. Wouldn't you find ways to cut your expenses and profit more as an individual? And that's what I feel like these gig work companies are doing. And that's why I say I feel for those that are doing it full time. Can you make money? Can you make a good coin doing it full time? Yes, but you're going to be burnt the fuck out. It requires you to put in 50, 60, 70 hours a week, 12 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days, sometimes 7 days a week. If you a hustler, if you young, if you're growing, if you still living at home with your parents, cool. More power to you. It may work. It may not. It's subjective. But if you a grown ass adult, whether you a woman or a man, and if you 30 plus, it's time to learn a skill, in my opinion. And I say that respectfully because everyone is different. I'm going to exclude those with learning disabilities or those that may be physically or mentally handicapped. I don't even want to say handicapped. I'm trying to be politically correct. But let's just say if you not if you don't have any type of physical or mental disability, and if you're able to catch on and learn like the average person, you really need to be taking your ass back to some type of trade school or school, learning a skill. And when I say learning a skill, that doesn't necessarily mean a degree. It means learn something in which you're always needed. Learn something that you're able to not only utilize your mind, but maybe your hand and or your hands too, right? Such as being an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, HVAC tech. What about cybersecurity or information tech? Things of that nature, right? What about welding? You know, or what about working for like the federal government, state government, local government? You know, jobs that are tend to be recession proof or not even say recession proof, recession resistant, right? Or what about the healthcare industry, such as like being a registered nurse, or what about being a respiratory therapist, occupational therapist, physical therapist, physician assistant, nurse anesthetist, or practitioner, or getting into psychiatric nursing. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to necessarily be a practitioner. You could be a not a mid-level provider that is a practitioner, but you could do something in the healthcare field. What about the growing demand for like ultrasound tech or what they would call sonography, right? Those are some good jobs. Or what about radiation tech? Nuclear medicine is good. Radiation therapy. What about a dosimetrist? These are skills that you need to learn that may or may not require a degree to get you out of gig work. I kind of went off on a tangent for the last 2 to 3 minutes, but I'm back on track. You know, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video about gig work being a transitional type of thing. What I mean by transitional is it's kind of like McDonald's fast foods, right? Which are eventually going to get phased out by AI. But transitional means you're in high school still growing, you're in college still growing, or you could be an adult and you're in between jobs, right? Maybe you were recently laid off in whatever industry and you're going back to school or something just to have some type of income, right? But you're working this type of gig work to eventually get into something else. I think that's where gig work works best. But for one to be doing it full time and long term, and but what I mean by long term is 6 months plus, 6 months or more. If you're somewhere 6 months or more, you've basically, that's a probationary period that you've passed, right? It becomes a full time job. And I'm gonna tell you, I got a buddy that's been doing Uber for over 2 years, 2.5 years. His ass complains every day how Uber doesn't pay enough. They've gone down on paying on their paying drivers a fair wage. Um, the trips are getting less and less. He's getting, $5 trips, $6 trips for 9, 10 miles, which is highway robbery. It used to be a rule of thumb, 75, 80 cents, or even $1 per mile was like golden, right? At least in the Los Angeles market. I don't know what market you guys are in, but in the Los Angeles market, it was nothing. Even I did Uber for a short time when I got into my accident from February this year, 2024, up until recently, about a week ago. And what I started to notice is from around Juneteenth, mid June, up until when I quit last week, them rides, as far as the fares in which I was getting paid, got less and less and less. Even on the weekends, holiday weekends, such as what just passed, Labor Day weekend, right? Kind of slow. It was different from what I heard from my buddy, my homeboy, last year, Labor Day weekend. He cleaned up $350 in, 7 hours. Now to get the same $350, you have to do 12 plus. It might have to do 2 days to get $350, And, we're on the verge of, in my opinion, we're already in a recession, but I feel like we're on the verge of a major recession, if not a depression. Um, Things are looking real bad out here. And when I say real bad, like I mentioned, I was doing Uber for a very short time. I would hear people's stories. Oh man, I was recently laid off. I was laid off. And you know, it's not only affecting the tech industry, it's affecting a lot of people. And I blame the pandemic for this, the printing of a lot of money, right? It seems like the reverse is happening. If you notice in the during the pandemic, people weren't working, right? Whether it was by choice, whether they wanted to game the system and, be on unemployment. A lot of people were getting unemployment. It was paying more than they were actually physically showing up to the job. And granted, it was a, global pandemic, right? A global health scare, if rather, right? But a lot of people were taking it, they were um opportunistic. Yeah, if I'm saying that word right, they were basically being opportunists, right? They were taking advantage of the pandemic and sitting their ass at home. They were able, willing bodies, many of them young people with no health, I guess, problems, right? If you had a health problem, God bless you. I understand why you took off. If you were elderly, or if you were just an individual that was susceptible to getting COVID-19, this video doesn't apply to you. I'm talking about able, willing bodies that should have worked, that gamed the system, and now look, we're experiencing inflation because of that, right? I'm talking to you. You know, it, we're going through some real trifling times right now, and gig work is saving some people, meeting ends meet. But with that being said, gig work has become saturated, highly saturated, to where if the demand is up to become a gig worker, what do you think supply as far as payment gonna do? It's gonna go down, right? But pay will increase if there's not a lot of if there's no demand, little to no demand application wise to become a gig worker, if you follow me, right? So for example, in the Los Angeles market, everybody named mama's a Uber driver, hence it reflects the pay, right? The less drivers you have, the more pay you're gonna get. The more drivers you have, the less pay you're gonna get, you know? And that's minus all these companies that have tapped into the Uber market. You know, there are a lot of companies out here that have employees. They'll buy a whole bunch of Tesla Model Ys, a whole bunch of different kind of EV vehicles, right? They'll become a company, put it in an LLC or an S corp, and what they'll do is they'll hire an employee, but the employee drives their vehicles, right, that they're leasing or bought, and they're paying that employee minimum 18, 19, $20 an hour. And as long as they're signed in for a 4 hour or 8 hour block and they're getting paid, you know, that wage, 18, 19, $20 an hour, and the employee gets to keep the tips, that kind of saturates the Uber market also for independent, I guess, gig workers, you know, independent couriers, independent gig workers that depend on Uber as a full-time income. So I say all of that as to say, hey, you guys, learn a skill, be about something, try to transition and get the hell up out of gig work, because the way things are going, people have become dependent on gig work. And I'm not talking bad or down about those who choose to do gig work, but that shouldn't be the end all be all. You should be able to utilize gig work and transition out of it to get into something else. That's all I'm saying, respectfully. If you like the content, please subscribe, like, comment, share the video, and please hit the notification bell. I'll make another video later. Bye.